Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with artist and actress Laurie Landry. Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat about all things fun.
I thought it would be kind of cool today, and we talked about this briefly the other day when we were talking about setting up the show. If you and I had done so much background work in our life, and I thought it'd be fun if you told the folks kind of like how we met and what show it was on. I thought that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, so we met on the show Glee. I don't know if any of you remember that. I loved that show personally, but yeah, we were on that show. I don't remember what season it was, but I feel like it was towards the end because there was a wedding scene. It probably was like a season finale. Yeah, it probably was like a season finale. I feel like a lot of season finales end in weddings, right? Um, and I think we were on it for like a couple of days, and we were seated at the same table and holding. And actually, we might have met online before that, but anyway, we were seated at the same table and holding, and we got to chatting. And you were talking about your books that you had. You were showing. I think you had one on you. It was your
Monologue book,
yeah,
maybe?
the monologue book. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And you were talking about your poems, and I was like, oh, I want to check out that monologue book. So that was great. We met a couple other background people there. We all, like a couple of us got to be sort of friendly for those couple of days. And I don't remember if we sat together at the wedding, but we had to dance and we had to, I mean, it seemed like a real wedding, except they just redid it over and over and over again. But then I don't remember like exchanging information. We must have maybe found each other on Facebook, or maybe we exchanged numbers. I don't remember, but and I don't even know if we worked together on set after that. Well,
I
on
think we
background set.
did. I think we worked on a bunch of shows. I'm trying to remember if our friend Jordan Weeks was on the same set for Glee. I mean, I want to say we probably worked on like The Mentalist together. I feel like we worked on that show. I feel like any one of the acronyms CSI, NCIS, I feel like downtown LA, there was always like a holding parking lot
Yep.
shindig with the yellow signs with the arrow, and you're like, but do I park there? But I'm not a Cats fan.
Right.
Um,
Or we're in an alley somewhere, or yeah.
and they're like, don't cross the street. That's CSI New York. Over here, though, it's NCI. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you're like, what am I on today? Yeah.
So I just thought we connected really well, and we've done a few projects since then together. But I really wanted to kind of go back, and I wanted to kind of see when you were younger, because I know you're originally from the East Coast, and I wanted to know kind of when you were younger, a kid, maybe what kind of did you see or read or watch that kind of got you interested in acting? Do you remember back that far?
Yes. Well, so I was extremely, extremely shy. So shy. Like we'd go anywhere and I'd be hiding behind my mom's leg. Like I remember being that small, like hiding. Um, People would talk to me and I didn't even know how to like say yes or no or hi. I would just feel like nod my head. I was so shy. And then I was it preschool? No, it was kindergarten. I was in kindergarten and we had to take gym class. Now I have some health issue or I had some health issues. So not only was I super shy and I didn't want to like do physical activity in front of people, but I also like had some health issues that made it hard for me to do some physical activity. And I would be embarrassed and I'd be, I didn't want to have to run around and like I didn't want to show myself to anybody, any part of it. I don't want to talk. I didn't want to show anyone like physicalities. So they were like, my teachers were like talking to my parents and they're like, she has to do something while we're having gym class. She has to do something. So
Let's do
there was another,
something.
yeah, she has to do this. She can't just sit there. So there was another class. I think there was an older class, maybe first grade, and they were doing like a play of sorts. They were doing this acting stuff. I didn't really understand it or know anything about it at the time. And so they put me in that, and they were like, I mean, I don't know who made this decision. That sounds like the worst thing for a shy child, but whatever. They put me in that, and I ended up really liking it. Like, I think I don't remember what it was called, but it reminded me of the Mickey Mouse Club. We had Mickey Mouse ears, and I think we were wearing all like black and white, and I think we had to like sing and do little dance things, and I don't remember the full extent of it, but I remember loving it. I remember like loving being on stage, and I think I made a couple of friends there. Um, maybe I didn't. I don't remember, they were older, but um and I felt like it was a mixture of feeling like, oh, this is the real me, and also I'm
Wow.
also being somebody else. It was like a weird, it was like a safety net of I'm being a character, but also I kind of feel like I'm most alive right now, like most of me. And I mean, I was young, so I didn't have these actual like verbalized thoughts, but I remember like those feelings of I don't feel as scared. Of course, I would get off the stage and be all shy and stuff, but um, so that really started like my love of performing. And then, around people that I felt comfortable with, I loved performing. I was in dance class. Um, my sister and I would put on little shows for my parents, my neighborhood friends. We'd put on shows and charge like 5 cents for the neighbor parents to come and watch us. I was always trying to start a business. Put on plays, or even when I would play with like kids would play school. I always had to be the teacher because I felt like I was like performing in some way. Also, I feel like I had to be in control. So, but and then let's see what started stemming it. I fell in love with the movie My Girl. Loved that movie. I mean, I also loved Labyrinth, but I didn't think of Labyrinth as like, oh, I could maybe be an actor because I was mostly like, Muppets. So it wasn't really that realistic to me. But I fell in love with the movie My Girl, which was all human beings. And I was around the same age, like I think a year younger than Anna Klumsky, who played Veda in that. And I wanted to be her. I wanted to be her character. I wanted to look like her, dress like her, act like her. I just like fell in love with her character. I fell in love with all the characters really. And I memorized the movie, not like on purpose. I wasn't taking notes. I just watched it so many times that I memorized it like from start to finish. And I was just like, and I think I was like 10 when I saw that, maybe. And I was like, I want to do what she's doing. Like, I want to be in a movie. I was like, I got to do that. I got to figure that out. So then it was like, okay, I got to perform more. And I had to kind of convince myself, like, you can't be shy if you're going to try to be in the movies. Like, you have to be more outgoing. You have to, I didn't really know this word either at the time, but advocate for yourself. You have to kind of like push for what you want to reach your goals and stuff. But I knew that I couldn't be shy if I wanted to. And I remained shy in like my regular life, like to teachers or authority and stuff like that. But I started to like break out of my shell and like pretend I was kind of a character until it became me, so
Mhm.
that I wasn't as shy in real life and I could actually get the roles that I wanted, in community theater or in high school or whatever, things like that. But those are the big things that stemmed my acting. And then my sister also went to school for acting. She was 4 years older than me. And that also like made it seem like, oh, she's gonna go to college for acting. Okay, that's like a thing I can do.
Well, let me ask you this. So, building on that, when do you remember the age where you realized, um, well, you probably knew that you could be an actor and make a career out of it, but in your own personal life, do you think there was a point where you realized, well, this is something I can pursue after high school? I can do plays and I can do things, I can get into movies and things, but I could make a career out of this. This is something I can pursue as a day job, even.
Yeah, so I mean, I knew that it wasn't going to be easy from the start. I mean, that's what everyone told you. Like, okay, what are your other, what's your plan B? What are your other thoughts? But I hated school. Like, I was a decent student. I got good grades. I made it through, but I just highly, highly disliked school. I didn't like having to take classes that I didn't enjoy. I ended up when I was later in high school, I was able to take acting and choir and stuff like that, but which I liked, but all of the like math and science, which I love now, but then I didn't like, history. Like I didn't care about any of that. That to me meant I'm not gonna, like, I wasn't gonna get anywhere in life with those things because I didn't love them. Um, Sometimes I kick myself for it, but anyway. But so it was in my mind, it was kind of like, well, this is like I was lucky in the sense that I knew at such a young age what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted to be. And I feel like, a lot of my friends and people I've talked to like still maybe don't really know what they want to do or be, or back then they were like, I don't know, I should go to college because I'm supposed to go to college. I don't really know what to major. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to spend a bunch of money and go to college. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to an acting academy because I know that's what I want to do. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I just I was young and I was like, I'm just gonna try it out. And I actually didn't know about anything about background or, you know, stand-in or background work at all until I came out here. I mean, I'd heard about it, but I didn't really. In Massachusetts, they did film in like Boston and stuff, and like occasionally like in Northampton, where I'm closest to, but um, it wasn't often, and it was just like, oh, you don't think like, oh, this is just a person like just you and I just going in and just getting a background. Like you didn't think of that, you thought, oh, you have to get an agent, you have to do all these things. So it wasn't really until I came out to LA. Sorry, I did when I lived in New York City, I did do a background job there, but I didn't I kind of got lucky with it. I like saw a listing somewhere and I was like, I'll just go down there and try it. And then I got to do it, but I didn't really know how to like make it like actual career out of it or make it ongoing, So it wasn't until I got here and someone was like, "Oh, you got to sign up with, this place and this place and this place." And I was like, "Okay." And at the time we paid to sign up. It's not legal to do that now to make that you charge you now to sign up with some of these companies. But yeah, so it was like paying here and going to get my pictures taken and going here and get my pictures taken and bringing I mean, it's not easy work. I mean, some people might think it is. To me, it wasn't easy work, but I didn't know that I could get, regular background work and like make a little living off of it and also enjoy myself and hope one day, you'd get bumped up to something.
Yeah, and you are fantastic at it. I'm going to kind of jump around here a little bit because I want to make sure we can kind of cover both of the main things we want to talk about today. So, while keeping kind of that early age bracket for you, do you remember what first kind of got you interested in painting? Was it a trip to a museum or something like a class that you took when you were younger that you've kind of fostered as you've gotten older and kind of just kind of let that blossom in the last few years? Is there, I know there's a story there somewhere.
Yeah, so I never really liked my museums as a kid, except for like a science museum where there's like life-size dinosaurs and stuff like that, but not like art museums or anything. Um, but I think like a lot of kids, not all kids, but a lot of kids really like arts and crafts and art and painting and working with their hands and being creative and crafty when they're really little. And I was one of those kids. I really liked being arts and, getting my hands into arts and crafts and being creative. Um, and it was, when I was really young, I was probably like second, third grade. I remember, teachers asking us like going around the room, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember I remember they asked me and I didn't really know at the time and I was like an artist, whatever that meant, just like an artist. And they're like, cool. And they went to like
That
my
sounds
friend next.
great.
Yeah, I'm like, great. I just want to be an artist. I like painting. That sounds fun. And one of my best friends at the time was sitting right next to me and she said, I want to be a teacher. And then I switched mine. I want to be a teacher too. I never wanted to really be like a teacher in a classroom, but um yeah, so I kind of stuck with that for a little while. It changed, when I was little, I wanted to be a paleontologist, but it kind of always stuck with acting and art, something in the creative field, and like for the most part. And then I just did art for fun, just for fun here and there. Like I never even thought about selling art or being in an art show or anything like that until I had a conversation with a friend and she was like, what are you doing? We were like, what do we need to do more things for fun? We're always concentrating on work and life stuff. And so she's like, what about painting? You used to really like doing art and painting. And so I was like, all right, let me get back into it. And that actually, this is a not a this is a print, but so I did this pretty
Wow.
much right after we talked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love if I can get it back up here. I'm like, this was so fun. I wanna paint more. And um, my friend started dating this guy, and he was putting on. Then it was called Nude Art LA, which was all nude art. And they were like, we want to come to our show, and of course, like I want to support my friends, but I was like, I don't really like art shows. Like I told you before, like I don't want to go to a museum and look at art. Like I just, ugh. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go and support my friends. And so I went there and it was so cool. There was like sculptures and there were paintings and then there was like live body painting and it was just such a cool experience. It wasn't just like going through and I really like found that I was getting into the art, like looking really close at all the details. Like, wow, how do people do these, art, and it was all nude art. So it was like all different. It was abstract and realistic and stuff like that. But I was just like, these people are so talented. And I saw this one artist who I've now met a couple times. And I just really loved her style. It was like these really giant pieces and kind of abstract, but you could definitely tell the silhouette of the people she was drawing or painting. And I was like, I want to give that a try. And so I went back home and, over whatever course of time, I decided to dabble with doing that. And that same friend who was working on the art show came over and she was just like, "Oh, you paint nude art?" And I was like, "Well, this is the first one, you know." And she's like, she was like, "It's good. Do you want to be in the art show, the next art show?" And I was like, "Do you want me on the next art show?" She's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't have asked." And I was like, "Cool." She's like, "But you're going to need to paint more than just one." So I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't
Good
know if they're
problem
going
to
to be,
have, right?
yeah, it is." But I was like, "I don't know if they're going to be good." I did one that was decent. And so anyway, I've been started. That's how I got into the nude art painting. That's since turned to change names to aristocratics because if you put nude art out there,
People are like, harumph.
yeah, no, 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 that's can't have nude people because that's weird. Like we're all naked underneath these clothes.
We can shoot
Anyway,
people on TV, but we can't be naked.
right, right. So that's how I got into art, and I sold some pieces, and that motivated me to do more. And um, but I think I don't know, maybe you know this too. I'm sure, like you get into the grind of life things or you just aren't feeling motivated and it's like you go X amount of time and you haven't done any art, you haven't created any film, you haven't, done anything really creative and it kind of takes a toll on you. So it's like I have to almost sometimes as an adult mentally be like, I need to sit down and just make some art or
You need
like
some
you
you
like
time. You need some, or if it's me, it's me time. You need to just close the doors, turn the ringer off on the phone, not have any electronics, like have water, whatever, a snack or something. And whoever you're with, just say, hey, just go to the other room. Just give me like an hour or 2 hours, then we can go do whatever. But I need this time to be me, to just have something happen, to make
yeah, I
something.
mean it's all part of self-care. I mean if being creative and well we're all creative in some way, everybody. So if you don't think you're creative, you're creative. But if it's not art or if it's not acting or working on film or writing poetry or whatever, that's not it, like find something because that's like a form of
There's always
self-care, right?
something. I
Yeah.
gotta ask you this because you know, like you, I have a lot of actor friends, and these stories just, oh, I love them. So, what is a bizarre acting direction you were given, and or have you ever had an acting gig inside of a mall?
I'm not even sure how to answer either of these. Well, I feel like I can kind of answer the first one a little generally in the sense that because and if anyone's watching that has never done background before, and probably not even really if even if you've done like main, acting, you probably don't even know this term. So there's like a thing in acting, it's like I want you to go straight and then I want you to take like an extreme left and then you're gonna banana around. And it's like
You're
only if you're
like,
doing background do you know banana
I know,
as a
and
direction.
yeah, oh my
You're like,
God,
I'm gonna banana. So it's like it's kind of a joke. I feel like people who've been doing it for a while are just like, oh, I did a couple bananas.
little bananas over there, turned it out pretty well.
Tough work, but did the job right.
All in a day's work. A gig in a mall. I know I've been in several malls, and I can't remember like what show. I remember a couple of shows, but it was just like, why are they always malls? And I feel like the malls weren't completely shut down, so you have all these looky-loos walking like you're doing your stupid fake
Banana.
crossing and everything, and they're just like this. Like you just see somebody in the background of you, and they're just like this. They're just
Yep.
like there's always somebody eating an apple. Like, where did you get an apple?
Why? Or they come into frame and then they just stand there like,
Or they're just like,
yeah, they're just like a deer in headlights, like, what's going on? Yeah, jump right in.
so I remember a really bizarre stage direction that I got was on Boston Legal. And I was so excited because I was in a scene where James Spader was in this really intense his character was in this really intense mood, and he had this important information. He had to come around a corner and have a discussion with William Shatner. I was like, this is so great. And I was like, oh, it's going to be focused. I'm not going to look at anything. It wasn't the director. I think it was the AD, but he gave me this weird thing to do. And I was like, I looked at him. He goes, hey man, I just need you to do this. All right. And I was like, wasn't going to give you any. All right. So there was the set of circular door that spins like this to come into their business, their law firm or whatever. That you fake door. And so they had me start inside that, but with my hand on a briefcase with an arm and a foot out of it. Not like a normal person would be outside of a door, coming into a door, and then walking
Yeah.
past the two people. And I was starting like this. And like the fourth time, because Spader is supposed to cross in front of me and then like walk into the stream of people down the hallway toward Shatner's character's office. Like the fourth time it did take, he looks at me and he goes, hey, that's a really bizarre starting position. And I just looked at him and I said, thank you. He goes, you might want to rethink that. That's a little jarring. And I just said, this is just how they placed me, sir. And he goes, did they? And that's the last time I ever talked to James Spader. I was just like, yeah, my career is over. But it was just like, why? Okay. And then the mall thing, the one I can think of off the top of my head was The Mentalist. I don't know if I think you were on that show. Did you do background on that show?
I did the whole last season. I don't think I did any of the previous seasons.
So I think there's a a scene with two of the main characters, and for whatever reason, they're meeting there and having lunch, or there's like some kind of exchange of, they're meeting a client or something there, and Jordan, poor Jordan, and I are stationed to do this thing, and do you remember? I think that they might still have these stores in California called As Seen on TV,
Yeah.
where these weird products that you order off of TV or something.
Yep.
Every time it was like the best acting was Jordan and I trying to not crack up because they had these outside speakers. It's a real mall. It's out these outside speakers, and it's this guy. I don't know what the thing is. I think they were dumbbells, but they shook, and so it was like
Oh, yes.
a male
The shake
bodybuilder
weight.
from like the net. You didn't see his face, but he's lifting these things up like this, and it's a giant TV right by the window, and the music is going bum 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 bum, bum. And every time the guy would lift like the hands for like the third time, he'd just go, ugh. And the woman looking at me coming the other direction, she was going like this, like looking at me like, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. And then later she came over to me and she was, how did you guys not laugh? And I'm like, I don't know, but it hurts. My stomach hurts really fucking bad. Like, oh my God. And Jordan and I, we still laugh about that of like, why would you keep that audio and that video playing? I get like, we're probably deep focused and it's in the background, but it's like if you people, it's probably in the episode somewhere. I don't care. It's like, it's this thing, but it's like, they don't think about these things where it's like
No.
the things that we have to do. So let me build on that because this I think will be really interesting to people. So, okay, so back in the day, you're in LA now and you're doing your background and you're getting into the acting. So, because this is something that I was able to do, and I believe you about the shyness, but when I met you, it was like, oh yeah, this woman's a pro. She's a great actress. But so you're on these sets and you're in these green rooms and these holding areas, and like you and I are talking about, you're bored out of your mind, and it could be hours before you're called. So you start these conversations, and this is what really helped me is like you just never know what somebody's going to be working on. Like somebody could be doing a play, somebody could be putting together something for a short film. Somebody could be, needing crew to go out in like a park somewhere on a Saturday. So it seems like you did it for a while. And when did you realize like I'm kind of just expensive human furniture here. Like I want to be, you know what I mean? Like I want to be an actor. I want to be a character. I want to be involved in it. And then when did you realize like I want to create my own projects or I want to be involved in more than this? Do you remember that?
I mean, I think I wanted to right from the start. Well, maybe not create my own necessarily, but definitely if I was talking to someone on set and they're like, I'm gonna put this thing together, do you want to be in it? And I was like, yeah, like,
You're like, get me out of here.
yeah. Not only get me out of here, but also just like you can't you can't always really be your full creative like formed self as a background. Like sometimes you're I mean, like you said, we're just like a prop or a piece of furniture. Like we're just like placed here just because it looks empty. Or we're just going back and forth over here because they just need movement for the eye. You know what I mean? And that gets to be really redundant. I mean, some days you have amazing set like time on sets. Like you get to do some cool stuff and that's really fun. And you get to do a little bit of acting, even if you're not going to get like paid as a, higher up actor, but you get to kind of, play with your stuff. But that sounds weird, play with your stuff, play with your
Some days on set are longer than others.
yeah, gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I was lucky to meet up with you because you really are super creative and you're really proactive and you're like, I want to get some people together and I want to create some stuff. And you've got the writing skills and the acting skills. So you're like, I'm just gonna do this. And I'm was like a much more hesitant, like I got to figure all the pros and the cons and the people going to show, I think of like, I'm just always in my head. And I feel like you were just like, let's just do it and see what happens. And I love
Right.
that about you, and and that's why I like feel lucky I got to meet you. And there's a couple other people that were like, let's put something together. And I was like, okay, like you figure out the logistics.
Yeah, and I think that, from my point, from my piece, I guess I'll just say, living in LA, the putting stuff together, the only major thing, because people, actor friends, writer friends, director friends, people who work crew, they've got stuff in their house or their apartments. They've got props, they've got clothes, they've got things. It's just where to go because you're not going to get studio space at Warner Brothers, let's face it. But I had so much fun working with you on Omnicard, and oh my God, that got into a festival. And I had an amazing time again during the dark days of COVID working on the socially distant murder mystery. And the thing is, and I maybe you had the same experience with when we got that out there and got into a couple of festivals was no one was doing that. No one was trying to just do something to keep your skills up, to just quell the boredom, to be like, I can't go anywhere, but I have all these friends that want to work on something. Let's just make it. It's not going to be whatever your favorite 2 hour movie is, but it's like, just make something. And I couldn't believe that no one had ever thought of putting together a murder mystery on Zoom before. At least I hadn't seen it. Like to see all the squares at once.
Yeah, that was really, really clever.
Well,
I had so
you
much
were
fun on
so
that.
fun. You brought so much to it. That little stick with the two X's with the dead eyes.
Oh
So,
yeah. I was like, how can I portray dead without just being like, ugh? Like,
and then you had like a label on the wine bottle. I think that was great too.
oh yeah, I don't remember what that was. It just like poison or was it what did it? I don't even
You had, but
remember.
it was great because it looked like something from like Napa Valley. I'm like, she really put a lot of extra,
Oh
like
yeah.
with the font and everything. And I think it was like a rose, like a dead dying rose on this.
Yeah.
I was like, but definitely, I hope to work together with you on the future and on anything. So, and I think people might be interested in this too when it comes to the acting. Have you traveled outside of California for either acting projects or your painting? And how would you describe that experience out of California different from what you've done in California? Is there a different thing where when you're in LA, it's like everybody's making a show or a movie, whereas you go to a town in some other state and people are like, the actors are here.
Um, I well, in theater I did. We did a little bit of traveling when I was doing some dinner theater. Um, I don't really feel like there's a big difference because it was still kind of a little small townish back east. Trying to think. I mean, I did a little bit of acting in New York when I lived there in New York, but that was New York City, so it was similar in the sense that, there's a lot of actors there. I don't think so. I don't think I've really, well, okay, we did do a show. Gosh, what was it called? Uh, I can't think of the name, starts with a J. But anyway, I was background and we filmed like far like northeast. So it was like really kind of in the woods and like it wasn't, I mean, it was drivable, but it was like deep up there. Like it took us like, I don't know, over an hour, maybe almost a couple hours to get there. And we were filming like in people's yards. And so like our holding or like areas that we were hanging out off camera were like in people's driveways and stuff. And there was no internet. Like it was very, very remote. And the owners of the houses were there and they were hanging out, with whoever they could outside, and they were just like, so what's it like acting, and how do you get your job, like asking all those questions. And I was like, well, you need internet service, which you guys don't have.
That's
Although I think at
remote.
the time that might have been calling in, but still, like I was like, it's so weird. But yeah, it wasn't really out of state or anything.
Okay, okay. And then what about painting? Have you done any classes or projects outside of California, or have shown your work outside of California anywhere? Your paint?
Not in any shows. I sold a couple of paintings. I have some art in Massachusetts and Connecticut. I have one person that's interested in, this is a print, but the actual one here, they're in New York. But I haven't done any shows outside of
Not
here.
yet.
Not yet.
Give it time. Okay, well, what kind of acting roles or genres would you want to try that you haven't done yet? Is there anything that you're like, ooh, I've always wanted to do that and just never got the opportunity?
Um,
Like, have you ever wanted to be like a badass,
yeah.
like Sigourney Weaver, and just kick a door down and then stand there with a flamethrower, or have that kind of like romantic comedy moment where you're just telling the guy he's a jackass, or you know what I mean, like things that you
Yeah.
see that you're like, I want something to do like that, or a western where you're just people think you're just a pushover daisy kind of person, and then it turns out that you were the mastermind of whatever. You know what I mean?
I feel like I have been really lucky where I've gotten to play, whether it just be like smaller things that I put together with friends or whatever. I've or in theater or whatever. I've gotten to play some really fun roles that went either outside my comfort zone, but I ended up like doing pretty well, or just like, oh, this is gonna be like, I love being like, I don't know what this says about me, but I love being like the killer, the bad person, or like when it turns, you don't think it's that person, and then it's like, what, it was you. So like, what we put together was fun during the pandemic, and I guess maybe, and I love anything comedy. Um,
Well, your
I
timing
think,
is immaculate, I must say.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
um, so this I was just curious about because I know you're a painter and you've gone to shows and you've had to do things in galleries. So, for better or for worse, what is the most memorable artwork title of a piece that you've ever heard where you were like, it could be amazing or it could be horrible, but where you got a reaction in your own mind of, they called it this?
Oh gosh. Uh, I couldn't even answer that. I don't even remember all the titles that I've read. I wish I had something hilarious to say, but I don't even remember.
Okay, well,
Uh,
this is a real thing. I'm not making this up. So when I was a stage manager for a deaf children's theater traveling show, it's not a SNL skit. That's a real job I had like 20 years ago. I think we were in Colorado, and I want to say maybe Pueblo. I think that was the city we were in, and we just had a day off to just screw around to do whatever before we had another show. And I ended up just traipsing around downtown and came across a independent local artist gallery and went in there, and I was looking at something and I was like, and I could tell that the woman behind the counter was looking at me, looking at the artwork, and I could kind of see in my periphery that she was making this like face at me. But I mean, I was just looking at it, and then I was looking at the little plaque on the wall and looking at it and looking. I'm going like, what am I looking at? And I kept going like this and like that, and it was like some kind of watercolor. and I could tell they were lilies, but then it kind of looked smeared, and then it almost looked like a block part of it in the corner was like, but smeared around the edges like a Basquiat piece or something. And then it just part of it looked like food, like a spill of, but all kind of like in different sections, but trying to make some kind of collage. And I was like, okay. And then I remember looking at her and I said, I'm so sorry, ma'am, but is this the actual title? She's like, that's what it says, sir. And I went, okay, it was called Monet and Mayonnaise.
Monet and mayonnaise.
Yeah,
Mayonnaise?
Monet and Manet, the two artists, but then apostrophe S, mayonnaise, like to put on your sandwich. And I was just like,
Hey, they're
I
trying
mean,
to
you
be
know what
clever. They're
though?
artists.
That was 20 years ago, and I'm still talking about it.
Sorry.
And I'm glad I could tell you about it. I don't get to interview that many painters, so you do not. I mean, if you decide to use that title, you have to put a two.
Right, right. In case yeah.
So I mean, but the
Copyright.
thing is, like, maybe call your things weird names. Maybe people will remember them. So
I mean, hey, they were in a gallery. That's a lot. That's more than a lot of people
I
can say.
know. And I was probably in there for 5 minutes just thinking, like, am I asleep? Am I dreaming?
Is this for real? Okay.
Thanks, Pueblo. All right. Well, as we wrap it up here, I wanted to ask you, kind of let the folks know what you have coming up next. Maybe you're taking a break from acting, but maybe things are, you're working on new pieces. I mean, I see pieces there behind you. I don't know if you wanted to show any of those to the camera or if
Yeah, so I put one of my sorry, this is also print because I have a friend already actually purchased this one, but this was just one of the nude art ones. I didn't want to put too risque on here because I don't know who was watching your videos, but this was one of my, I don't even remember the name off the top of my head right now, but can't remember any of the
nothing to
names,
do with
but
mayonnaise.
I don't think it has anything to do with mayonnaise, but yeah, like I said, this was one of my, not my first, I've done tons of art before this, but when I kind of first got back into things and then I was dabbling with different scenery. Was this one? I think this was watercolor. Yeah. And
Oh,
then
very
this
cool.
was,
Okay.
yeah, it's like the beach watercolor.
Nice.
I mostly use acrylic. This was like made with like done with a knife instead of a brush.
Okay.
Just trying to do different things. I have a lot more of like the nude art, but I didn't want to bust too many out just because it's, video and
They will be, or they have been, because good job on those Canva ads, future Eric. But they will be on the ads that are going to come out before this airs. But people zoom in and zoom in. What can I say?
yeah, so in
So
terms of stuff coming up, I will likely be in another nude art show through Aristocratics. There's no set date yet, but I'll likely do another one of those shows. I have a great time. If anyone's in the LA area, definitely check it out. Super fun. And
where
say
is
hi to
that
me.
located? Is that Burbank? Is that Glendale?
So they're located in LA County, but they have done their shows in all different locations. So they've done a few
Okay.
downtown. Most of them have been downtown because it's more of like a central location. But I don't know where the next location. They're always trying to find like the most optimal and cost effective, of course, but like, where you can have the best display and uh, customer, what's the word I'm looking like, user friendly, I guess, the best kind of best space for the whole setup and everything and having people come through. Cause it's all not just like hung art, it's performances, there's burlesque, um, there's all sorts of, yeah, very cool stuff. So it's like a whole, I mean, it's the coolest art gallery I'll probably ever get to go to,
And
and
I
I'm
have to
definitely in the
say,
city.
and I just wanted to say this, that I've known you for a while, and I don't know that the first maybe even few years that we talked, I don't know if I even knew that you did painting. And I don't know, and it's up to you to say this or not, but I don't know if it was the thing that, and people do this, and I understand because I've done things like this too that I create just for me, where it's like sometimes it's like that certain sections of our creativity, it's like it's just for me. Like you just keep it for yourself because you need that outlet. So I just want to say I'm really proud of you for opening yourself up, and because it is, I think, a vulnerability thing, because it's really hard to make something like what you've made and put it on a wall, turn to strangers and say, what do you think?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, you're just putting it out there and you're just like, I hope people like, it's like an acceptance thing, of course you're not going to get, everyone's not going to like your stuff. Like there's preferences, right? But some people might be like, it's absolute junk. Like, I don't even know why you're here, but, but, yeah, it can be scary, but I think like, yeah, it's good to do stuff for yourself for sure. And I don't think I talked about painting much because I probably wasn't doing it much in the time and I wasn't like showing it off, back then. And then now I talk about it more because I am showing it off and I'm being a little bit more confident with it. But it's also good to like, if you create something, like it's okay to show people, right? And like not everyone's gonna like it, but I
And you
think a
know
lot of
what?
people will.
This is something that I've realized in my life, especially in all the crap that we've all endured, since COVID 4 years ago, is that um, the people in your life that are going to continue to be there and support you, they're always going to be there to support you. And it's like, you have your fair weather friends, you have acquaintances, you have coworkers that come in and out of your life, but it is, there's a lot of trepidation about just opening yourself up and saying, this is the thing I don't show of myself, like take it or leave it. And most people are going to take it because your stuff is awesome. Um,
Thank you.
so I guess as we wrap it up here, where can the folks find your artwork online, and where can they reach out to you for saying, hey, I got an acting project or a film or a short film or a play, and how would they go about doing that online?
Yeah, so my website is kind of in flux right now, but it is laurie-landry.com. I don't even know. I haven't updated it in a while. I need to get on that. But you can always reach out to me on Instagram, which is Lore Luland, LaurLouland. And you can message me. Also, I usually put up, my artwork up there and like some acting little stills and things like that and fun things. Yeah, you can message me there. I'm also on Facebook, just Laurie Landry on Facebook. Yeah.
Would you prefer everybody be funneled more directly to the Instagram rather than your website, since you said you haven't updated it, or do you still want me to link people to the website?
Probably Instagram would probably
Okay.
be better just because I really need to look at that website, see what's up with that.
Who has the time to do it all? But
Right. Because now when you're an artist, you also have to be like a web, developer and create a website and you have to do your
yeah.
marketing and you have to, it's
It's
all
not
these
like it
things.
was. It's, I think, especially since COVID, when we were forced to do all of this online marketing, that we've all of the companies that have any kind of interest in that and promoting you as an artist or whatever, actor, writer, it's like back in the day it was like 15% self-promotion. Now I feel like if they can get away with you doing 100% self-promotion, they're like, well, you have a great online presence, so you just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You really have to do the bulk of it yourself. And even if you do have someone that can help you with marketing, you still have to do so much of it yourself.
I know. Well, we have to say our goodbyes here, but oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a long time coming. You were delightful, as I knew you would be. Folks, look at all of that amazing artwork around her, that little halo around her. It's great.
Thank you.
And she's a great actress, and she's on IMDb. You can look her up. She's got clips on there. So Laurie, thank you so much for coming on the show, and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Tell Tim I said hi. Tell your family. Watch the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun chatting with you. And
Oh my
yes, it has
gosh.
been a long time overdue.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great weekend, and we'll catch up again.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
failed me for the last